Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Strategy formulation mood. Mood of strategy formulation, as we have discussed in a previous class: strategic model, environmental model, strategic formulation, implementation, and evaluation. Today we will discuss mood of strategy formulation. Strategy make in reality is much different from the theoretical procedure, which is recommended for strategy formulation as matter of fact. Strategy making is a very practical and skill art of management, which grows on management with long experience. From the practical viewpoint, there may be the following three modes of strategy making: entrepreneurial mode, adaptive mode, and planning mode. So let me explain first entrepreneur, then we will come to mode, that what is entrepreneurs. So this is the mode of strategy formulation, three modes. Now let me explain entrepreneur, then we will come to modes. Entrepreneur, individual who take risk and start something new. The word entrepreneur means intrapreneur, is a French word and literally translated mean between taker or go between. Historical background of entrepreneur, we have stage for that: earliest period, middle age, 17th century, 18th century, 19th and 20th century, and today of entrepreneur. In the earliest period, in this period, the many person foreigner of today venture capitalists enter into contract with the merchants to sell his goods. While the capitalist was perceived risk bearers, the merchant bore all the physical and emotional risk. An early example of earliest definition of entrepreneur is go between is a Marco Polo who established trade route of Far East. In the earliest period, a person by the Marco Polo, he established a trade route to the Far East. He received interest, so the people call him, he is entrepreneur. It was the earliest period. In Middle Age, the term entrepreneur was used to describe both actor and person who manage large production project. A typical entrepreneur was clerk who managed architectural project. In Middle Age, people say for those people entrepreneur, for actor, and for engineer or architectural project. In such a large production project, this individual did not take any risk, but merely managed the project using the resource provided usually by the government of a country. 17th century, Richard Cantillon, noted economist of 1700s, developed theory of the entrepreneur and regarded as a founder of a term. He viewed entrepreneur is a risk taker who buys a certain price and sell it at uncertain price. In 17th century, Richard Cantillon noticed that entrepreneur is a person who accept the risk, means buy goods at the certain price and sell it at the uncertain price, therefore operating at risk. Means in 17th century the word risk is involved in entrepreneurs. The emerged connection of risk with entrepreneur developed in 17th century, with an entrepreneur being a person who enter into contractual agreement with the government to perform a service to supply stipulated product. In 18th century, the person with the capital was differentiated from the one who needed capitals. In 18th century, we call entrepreneur for those people who was distinguished from the capital proportions. In other words, the entrepreneur was distinguished from the capital provider, the present day venture capitalist. Many of the inventions developed during this time were reaction to changing world, as was the case with the invention of Lee Whitney and Tom Edison. 19th and 20th century. In the middle of 20th century, the notion of entrepreneur is as innovator was established. The newness can consist of anything from the product to a new distribution system to the method for developing a new organization structure. Even today, there are today definition for the entrepreneur. In almost all of the definition of entrepreneurship, there is agreement that we're talking about kind of behavior that include initiative taking, organizing economic resource in best possible way to get benefits, the acceptance of risk and failure. They define entrepreneur for the different ways. Entrepreneur for economist, entrepreneur for psychologist, entrepreneur for a businessman. So entrepreneur is a process of entrepreneurship is a process of creating something new with value by devoting the necessary time and effort, assuming the accompanying financial, physical, and social risk, and receiving result a reward of monetary and personal satisfaction and independence. Entrepreneurship is a process of creating something new and assuming the risk and rewards. So entrepreneurship involves four aspects. Entrepreneurship creation process. One. Second, it required the devotion of necessary time and efforts. 3. It involves assuming the necessary risk. And 4. The reward of being entrepreneur or independence, person satisfaction, monetary reward. So this was a little bit clue of entrepreneur and entrepreneurial and entrepreneurship. Now we will discuss the strategy formulation mode, the exact topic of strategic management. So now come to the entrepreneurial modes in strategic management. Under this mode, the entrepreneur who is the founder of the organization. I've told you that entrepreneur is a person who creates something new, accept risk and reward. So here in the entrepreneurial mode, under this mode, the entrepreneur who is the founder of the organization or the decision maker decide upon the strategy on the basis of his wisdom, experience, foresight, intuition, or etc. The entrepreneur is the strategy designer, follow a particular or a practical approach as an environmental factor analysis, especially competition, and depend more on his knowledge and common sense without caring for organization policies, rules, and procedure. This idea behind this model of strategy formulation is not the entrepreneur is most competent in matter of strategy formulations, but he does not want to risk the organizational future by delegating such a significant and critical issue to professional manager. The entrepreneur at a time may have been wrong also in his approach to strategy formulation, but then bearing risk in inherent features associated with the concept of entrepreneurship. An entrepreneur has to tolerate all those ill effects which follow from implementation of his own strategy. Means he is responsible. The responsible person is only the entrepreneur. So the second is adaptive mode. Under this mode of strategy making, once the strategy is put into practice, the management keep a close watch on environmental happening in trends and keep adopting or adjusting a strategy in the light of environmental developments. This approach in effect is the contingency approach to management. It is based on the final strategy formulation that cannot be or must not be done initially, but strategy must be gradually and systematically finalized only after actually observing environmental development. The last one is planning mode. This is the scientific mode of strategy making, which is based on SWOT analysis, gap analysis, and other logical steps required in strategy formulation, like developmental of strategy, alternative in their evaluation leading in the choice of final strategy. Now, in a slide, very easily I have explained that entrepreneurial mode. In the entrepreneurial mode, strategy is developed mainly by a strong visionary chief executive who are actively search for the new opportunity, is heavily oriented toward a growth and is willing to make bold decision or to shift a strategy whenever necessary. So entrepreneurial mode, all the aspect of strategy is depend on the entrepreneur. Maybe the entrepreneur strategy is not correct, but entrepreneur accept all risk, so that is why they are involved in a strategic formulations. The second is planning mode. Planning mode stage in a firm develop where strategy are formulated through formal and comprehensive process. Usually board of director or top executive make the planning mode. Those people who are at top, those people who have the authority to make a decision, they are involved in a formal planning modes. Usually BODs, top managers, executive or CEO of the firm. So adaptive mode in a firm development where long-term strategy linked to its short-term strategy. I have told that strategy is for the survival of the business. So without strategy, business can alive. Strategy can be positive and strategy can be negative. So in adaptive mode, we do what? Long-term strategy and short-term strategy. We link both. Sometimes organization need even short-term strategy as well. So we will link our short-term strategy to our long-term strategy, that in the future that through short-term strategy our long-term strategy does not affect negatively. So the linkage of long-term strategy in a short-term strategy is known as an adaptive mode. Conceptual skill are especially important for those who are holding managerial or leadership positions. For top management, conceptual skill are required to diagnose the complex situations. Conceptual skill help you to visualize abstract concept and see the relation between them and draw the constructive conclusions. So the most important are especially use in your career these conceptual skill that you might have: decision making skill, interpersonal skill, technical skill, communication or communicate well with other. So in our country there is a big expressions in Afghanistan that we do not listen to understand, or we can say the biggest problem in Afghanistan is that we do not listen to understand. We are only listen how to reply. So work in developing your negotiation skill is one of the conceptual skill that you might have. Learn the essential of the project management is one of the conceptual skill. Some way to develop the conceptual skill: observation. Closely observe leaders and how they analyze in a situation and take actions. You might have a job. So observation is the most important way that you are observing your leader, your boss, your manager, how they analyze a complex situation and take action or take a decisions. Remember, memorize it, copy it. 2. Identify a problem within the organization and treat them as a case study. If you find any problem in your organizations and treat that treat that problem and make as a case study for your own self. Attend seminar training on business management and network with peoples and outside the industry. Means you will have extrovert personality, not introvert. You will be social. Conceptual skill or ability that allow an individual to understand the complex situation to develop creative and successful solution. In other words, it is natural talent that address difficult scenario with an innovation approach. So conceptual skill you might have studied in management, so I'm not talking about more. So generally this was the point that I have discussed with you peoples. Social responsibility. That what is social responsibility? So it is very easy. Value is a social responsibility. Commitment is a social responsibility. Integrity, charity, partnership, sensitivity, green, initiative, collaboration, honesty. So social responsibility is the process that private corporation has the responsibility to society beyond the making of profit. The society that extend beyond making a profit. So there are more social responsibility as well. So the private organization, primary motive of private organization is to earn profit. So beyond the profit, so the company or the organization, they have some social responsibilities regarding their values, commitment, integrity, partnership, charity, green initiative, collaboration, and honesty. And thank you.